Why is the Philippines so poor? Hello, travelers and curious minds. Grab a cup of coffee and settle in as we dive deep into one of the most thought-provoking questions. Why is the Philippines so poor? This vibrant nation, with its crystal-clear beaches, rich culture, and resilient people, hides a complicated story beneath its picturesque beauty. Stick around as we explore the historical, political, environmental, and socio-economic dimensions of this question in great detail. Historical influences. A legacy of challenges. The Philippines has a fascinating history that dates back thousands of years, but when colonization arrived, everything changed. Colonized by Spain for over 300 years and later controlled by the United States, the nation inherited systems that both shaped its identity and planted the seeds of inequality. During the Spanish era, a feudal system was established, concentrating land ownership in the hands of a few elite families, many of whom still control large tracts of land today. Farmers worked tirelessly under this system but saw little of the wealth it generated. These inequalities were worsened by a lack of accessible education for the majority, which prevented upward mobility. Fast forward to the American era. While there was some focus on education and democratic institutions, the Philippines' economy was still set up to serve foreign powers. Exports like sugar, coconut, and tobacco were prioritized, leaving little room for industrialization or self-sustaining economic growth. This dependence on raw material exports created a fragile economic structure, which became evident when global demand fluctuated. Even after gaining independence in 1946, the Philippines struggled to shake off this legacy of external dependence. While some strides were made, the economic system continued to favor the few, leaving large swathes of the population in poverty. The country's economy remained heavily reliant on foreign aid, loans, and investments, which often came with strings attached. This external influence limited the government's ability to implement policies that truly benefited the Filipino people. Instead, decisions were often made to appease foreign donors or creditors, rather than addressing the country's pressing development needs. The result was a perpetuation of inequality, with the wealthy elite reaping the benefits of economic growth while the poor and marginalized were left behind. Governance and economic policies, navigating complex waters. Building a nation is no small task, and for the Philippines, it has been a bumpy road. Post-independence governance has faced numerous challenges, from corruption to weak institutions. One of the pressing factors contributing to poverty is the misuse of public funds. When resources meant for schools, hospitals, and infrastructure are siphoned off through corruption, the people suffer. Additionally, political dynasties dominate the landscape. These families, many of whom have been in power for decades, often prioritize personal or regional interests over national development. This makes it difficult to implement policies that benefit the entire population. The concentration of power and wealth in the hands of a few families has led to a lack of representation for marginalized communities and a perpetuation of inequality. However, the story isn't all bleak. In recent years, efforts to improve transparency and reduce corruption have gained momentum. Initiatives like the Freedom of Information Act and technological innovations for government services are steps toward rebuilding trust. The use of digital platforms for public services, such as online portals for tax payments and business registrations, has made it easier for citizens to access government services and reduce the opportunities for corruption. Moreover, successive administrations have worked to attract foreign investments, modernize infrastructure, and boost industries like tourism and manufacturing. The Philippines has made significant progress in improving its business environment, with the World Bank ranking it among the top 10 most improved economies in the world in 2020. But even with these efforts, economic inequality persists. The richest 1% of Filipinos control more wealth than the bottom 50% combined. Policies aimed at redistributing wealth, such as progressive taxation or land reform, are often met with resistance from those in power. The lack of a comprehensive social safety net and inadequate access to education and healthcare exacerbate the problem, making it difficult for the poor to break the cycle of poverty. To address these challenges, the Philippines needs to continue its efforts to improve governance, reduce corruption, and promote economic equality. This requires a sustained commitment to transparency, accountability, and inclusive economic growth. By working together, the government, civil society, and the private sector can create a more just and equitable society for all Filipinos. Geographical and environmental factors. Nature's double-edged sword. When you think of the Philippines, images of tropical beaches, lush forests, and towering volcanoes likely come to mind. This archipelago of over 7,600 islands is stunningly beautiful, but its geography is both a blessing and a curse. Located along the Pacific Ring of Fire, the Philippines experiences frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. It's also in the typhoon belt, with about 20 typhoons hitting the country every year. These natural disasters cause billions of dollars in damages annually, displacing families and stalling economic progress. For example, Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 caused catastrophic destruction, affecting over 14 million people. Rebuilding after such events is costly and time-consuming, often diverting funds from other vital areas like education or healthcare. Despite these challenges, the Filipino people demonstrate remarkable resilience. Communities often come together to rebuild after disasters, showcasing a spirit of bayanihan, communal unity. This sense of community and solidarity is a testament to the country's strong social fabric. Moreover, the country's natural resources, if managed sustainably, have immense potential to fuel economic growth. Ecotourism, renewable energy, and sustainable agriculture are just a few areas that could help transform these environmental challenges into opportunities. For instance, the Philippines is home to some of the world's most beautiful and diverse marine ecosystems. Responsible tourism practices could help generate income and create jobs for local communities while promoting the conservation of these precious resources. Similarly, the country's abundant sunshine and wind resources make it an ideal location for renewable energy projects. Investing in solar and wind power could reduce the country's reliance on fossil fuels, mitigate climate change, and provide energy access to remote communities. In agriculture, the Philippines has the potential to become a leader in sustainable farming practices. By adopting climate-resilient crop varieties, reducing chemical use, and promoting agroforestry, farmers can improve their yields, reduce their environmental impact, and enhance their livelihoods. Overall, while the Philippines faces significant environmental challenges, it also has the potential to become a model for sustainable development. By harnessing its natural resources, promoting eco-friendly practices, and fostering community resilience, the country can turn its geographical and environmental factors into a blessing rather than a curse. Socio-economic dynamics, bridging the gaps. To understand why the Philippines is so poor, we must also examine its socio-economic landscape. The wealth gap between urban and rural areas is staggering. In cities like Manila and Cebu, skyscrapers rise alongside sprawling slums, highlighting the stark divide between the rich and poor. Education is one of the keys to breaking the cycle of poverty, but access to quality education is uneven. While urban areas have relatively well-equipped schools, many rural communities lack basic facilities, qualified teachers, or even access to the internet. Without proper education, young people in these areas struggle to find good-paying jobs, perpetuating the cycle of poverty. Healthcare faces similar disparities. In rural areas, access to hospitals or clinics is limited, and many Filipinos cannot afford even basic medical treatments. This lack of access not only affects individuals' quality of life, but also impacts productivity and economic growth. However, there are glimmers of hope. The government and various non-governmental organizations, NGOs, are working to improve access to education and healthcare. Programs like the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, 4Ps, which provides conditional cash transfers to poor families, aim to keep children in school and ensure they receive regular medical checkups. While these initiatives have had some success, there is still a long way to go in achieving inclusive growth. As we've explored, the question, why is the Philippines so poor, cannot be answered with a single explanation. It's a complex interplay of history, governance, geography, and socio-economic factors. But while the challenges are significant, so too is the potential for change. The Philippines is a nation rich in culture, resources, and spirit. Its people are resilient, creative, and hardworking. With the right policies, investments, and collective action, there is hope for a brighter future. Do you think the Philippines' cultural resilience and abundant natural resources are enough to overcome its economic challenges? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's spark a conversation about the possibilities for this beautiful nation.